Welcome to Beyond the Desk Admin Advocates, where we explore what it truly means to be an administrative professional in today's world. I'm Melissa Mahoney, CEO of the International Association of Administrative Professionals.
And I'm Rachel Suman, CXO of IAAP.
This podcast isn't your typical industry talk. We're here to bring you real conversations, real stories, and real solutions.
From AI to self-awareness journeys, we're here to discuss the deep issues that admins face every day. This is Beyond the Desk Admin Advocates.
Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Beyond the Desk. I am so excited to have a special guest with me for this episode. Our very own foundation CEO, Amy Psycho, is with us, and she and I are going to be talking about mission first work and why that is really critically important, both in today's society and where we are as a world, but even I think more importantly for the profession, and why we know that IAAP and the IAAP Foundation are uniquely qualified to support the profession for the future. So we're going to sort of dig deeper into, what our nonprofit work is, why it matters, how we work for you and on behalf of you in the profession, and different ways that you might be able to get involved and use your voice and use your yourself for good, for greater impact. So maybe before we dive in too deep, I will let you introduce yourself to the audience. I know most of our listeners know you already, but it'd be great for some of our new listeners and maybe new audience members to know who you are sitting in Rachel's typical seat.
I know. I feel very special. I listen to two podcasts, this one and Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. And so I feel like Conan O'Brien today. No, I'm really excited to be here. As Melvin mentioned, my name is Amy Psycho, and I have had the great privilege of serving as the CEO of the IAAP Foundation since 2022. And I come with a background from a lot of nonprofit organizations, working with different foundations, fundraising, pretty much nonprofit entities across my career, and working people and money is what I've joked about. That's what my career has been. But I was really drawn to and really excited to come and be a part of IAAP. Like many other people, my first big girl job, I was a secretary at the American Cancer Society back in the early 90s. And I was definitely titled secretary, and I wear that title proudly. But that was my first entree into working in nonprofit work. And that grew into a lot of different roles and really culminated when I saw this opportunity at IAAP because I really admire and value the work of the admin community. I have been involved with my own professional organization since the 90s at some point, and have held a professional certification from my organization for more than 20 years now. And so that was a big draw for me to come to another organization that is full of people that are invested in learning and growing and continuing to evolve in their career, and demonstrating their competencies in a lot of different ways, but mostly that core of continuous learning, and there's always more to do and more to learn. So I've been excited to be here, and I'm very lucky to be able to partner with Melissa and with Rachel and the rest of our staff, and of course our board members who are incredible and are a big, big part of what makes us incredibly unique and different from other spaces that are providing educational resources for admins.
Beautiful segue.
Thank you.
So Amy mentioned our boards, and I will say, let's back up a little bit and just talk about nonprofits in general.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a couple of times. I know I have said this a few times on the podcast, but in general, people think of nonprofits as philanthropic, social service type of
American
work.
Cancer
American
Society.
Cancer Society, the Heart Association,
Mm-hmm.
People who are working on like big social issues, Generally, that's a nonprofit. That's what we think of when we hear the word nonprofit. And IAAP and the IAAP Foundation are not those types of nonprofits, but still very, very much mission focused and mission centric in the same ways that all of those other organizations are. And so we want to be sure we talk to you about that distinction. Number one, so you understand that professional society that Amy was referencing, that exists for every type of profession. So Amy is part of a fundraising organization, a development organization. Her certification is through that organization. I am part of an association executive organization. My certification is through that professional organization. You all who have your CAP, you've received that credential through our professional organization for administrative professionals. And so that type of nonprofit exists for every profession on the planet.
We even have the Association for Associations to which we
Correct.
belong.
Right. There really is an association for everything that you could possibly think of. And so we stand on that sort of professional society, that type of nonprofit. The reason that it's critically important is it does drive the momentum and the future of an entire profession. So it's working on your behalf, mission focused, mission centric, and moving the profession forward, setting a pace, setting a direction, creating some guidance, creating that desire for lifelong learning, those the credentialing arms or bodies that support the profession.
Yep.
Help keep the profession relevant, help keep you relevant in your role, and make sure that you are evolving as the role organically.
And even to step back a little bit further, I mean, the reason they are organized as nonprofit organizations is because they're created for the public good. A corporate entity is created to make profit for the corporations. Nonprofits, and the reason that you can get nonprofit status basically from the IRS is that you are organized for the benefit of the public. And then you have a board of directors that are charged with governing that organization and overseeing that the mission is being served for the public good. And what's really unique in the membership association space, what we have, we are governed by working professional admins. So they hold the ownership essentially, and are charged with the legal and fiduciary responsibility for managing the organization. So when we talk about the association board or the foundation board, because they are two separate legal entities, which we could do a whole podcast about that. It would be really boring and nobody would want to listen to it, so we're not going to do that. But each organization, the association, the foundation, has a board of directors that is elected from the membership of IAAP. So these are working professional admins who, if you are a member of IAAP, you have voted for and given the trust and the confidence to say, I am placing in you the legal responsibility for this entity, and asking you to oversee it on my benefit. And that makes us so incredibly unique and special, especially in the admin profession, because being able to own and lead and actually not just advise, not just give some input or share some feedback, but own the organization. We are owned by admins and both entities, which is incredible. Incredible.
Not only is it incredible, but it is unique.
Yeah.
You will not find that in any other admin organization. So, there are plenty of places where you can get training. Rachel and I have talked about this all of the time, that we are not suggesting you should not diversify your training feed or your development feed.
Yeah.
In fact, I would advocate that you are sort of creating a diverse portfolio of where you get your education. Amy and I do that for our own professional certification and maintaining our relevancy. In fact, we spend a lot of time understanding what's happening in the corporate environment because it has an impact on the nonprofit world.
Yeah.
However, there is no other organization like the association, the admin association and the admin foundation that supports the association.
Yeah.
There are other organizations, especially in other countries, who are basically sister organizations to us. They do the same things that we do inside of other countries. And we partner with those organizations pretty frequently. But here in North America, and especially in the United States, IAAP and the IAAP Foundation, even more specifically, are entirely unique.
Yeah.
And created specifically and solely for the purpose of ensuring the profession remains relevant and valid and valued.
And lifting up and investing in our community of admins. And that's what makes the foundation. I mean, we literally are the only nonprofit charitable organization. I'll give you a second to process that. But essentially, we are a charitable organization just like the Cancer Society or the Heart Association, or if you have a foundation at your university, perhaps, that you attended. We are just like them. We are can be a beneficiary of charitable money. But the fact that we were started by admins, founded by admins, governed by admins, and the only voice in this space that's focused on the administrative community. And the way that that plays out, or the way that you would see it or it impacts you, is through our partnership with the association. So the foundation is incorporated to focus on research and education for the administrative profession. And probably the program, if people know about the foundation, the IAAP Foundation at all, they may know about our scholarships. That's kind of our gateway drug. Is, we provide every year, we provide scholarships for individuals to be able to attend Summit, Virtual Summit, capstone courses, and now just recently, through a really wonderful gift from one of our long time IAAP members, we created a scholarship, the Wilkinson Award for Leaders. And this fall, we're going to have our very first attendee who will go to the Aspire conference, all expenses paid, and have that experience because of a generous donor. So those scholarships are kind of, people can touch those, they can see them. I can look at you and say, oh, you're here at Summit. I'm so delighted to meet you because you had the opportunity to come from the foundation. But that's not really the foundation. It's about the people who give and the people who have invested. So we could also put a whole episode together on the power of 10. But I'm just real quick, just so you know, we do have a program because it's about investing in the profession and lifting all of us up, right? So when I came in, admins, they don't make a lot of money, but they do care about the profession. They get excited to see that somebody's had the opportunity to experience Summit. And so we have a program that we put together called the Power of 10. And basically we ask members, people in the community, to give $10 a month. $10 a month. But by putting them in a group of 10 people, those 10 people send somebody to Summit. Those 10 people with $10 a month get somebody to Summit. So it's a lot, but all together it makes such a huge impact. And the people who have participated get so excited because it was all about, how do we make it tangible? How do we have the community understand that you have an avenue to invest? You can invest your voice, you can invest your wisdom and experience through Social Link and our LinkedIn communities. And if you are somebody who is so inclined, you can actually even literally invest financially in another admin. And you don't have to be a gazillionaire to do that, right? So that's kind of the gateway or the entry. But the real impact, the big stuff, is the work that we do in partnership with the association.
Yeah. Before we move on from the Power of 10, I just want to say the experience of seeing those donors meet the scholarship recipient, even virtually, the foundation has done a phenomenal job of creating, space for the donors to meet the people who are being impacted by the investment. It is just so incredibly powerful, and you see that impact happening in real time. And I mean, I don't know how these people are not already donors for life. I think they probably are, because it's a powerful way for a very small investment of actual money, which we'll get to the the pay and compensation of the profession. We talk about it frequently. You should be paid your worth and your value.
Absolutely.
But we also recognize not everyone has the resources. You aren't automatically making six figures in these roles. And so the foundation has also made a really great program that is accessible to everyone, even if you're not making a ton of money, and you can still
only about half of the community gets any support from their employer,
right,
for professional development of any kind. And if you're lucky enough to be in the half that does get it, or if you've sat in the seat where you didn't have it, right? That's the connection. It's providing those opportunities for somebody who just isn't supported in other ways, and so we can support them.
Yes,
right?
yeah. So I just wanted to say, as a personal donor through the Power of 10, like I just, if you're looking for a way to have true, meaningful impact that you can see and feel, it is a powerful program, and I would highly recommend that you consider becoming part of a Power of 10.
I wasn't going to ask, but thank you, Mel, for
asking. So to Amy's point, though, there are much more significant investments that the foundation is making. The foundation is very fortunate to have a good amount of resource from its history. It has a very rich history.
We could do a whole episode.
We could do a whole episode on the history of the foundation.
Yeah,
and it's a unique history too, and we love talking about it because it's unlike any other organization. But at the heart and soul of it is it was member driven, member led. It started, and the reason that we have the resources through the foundation that we do is because of donors who, had a vision to support the profession in very unique ways in our rich history. And so we're really fortunate to have a decent amount of resource right now. And the foundation has been investing for the last several years very heavily in IAAP's innovation around programming and capacity building. So for those of you who were with us during COVID, the association, it was not easy for us. It was not easy for you. And with the foundation's support and partnership and collaboration, we made it. We were able to sustain ourselves and ensure that we were here to provide for the future of the profession. And now we're really getting to a point where we're able to invest in the fun stuff, the stuff that's really going to grow. We're less talking about sustainability like during COVID. While there's still some of that in the water, unfortunately, a lot of our work and time and energy and partnership is now focused on dreaming and capacity building. And where's the certification going to go in the next 3 to 5 years? And how is our membership model supporting you and accessibility for more people? So things that we know are driving our ability to really expand and grow as an organization. And that's one of the great things about this type of organization is the more members we have, like if you're looking for a why that goes beyond tangible benefits, another reason to be a part of this, both the association and the foundation, is the more members we have, the more critical mass we have, the more impact we can have, the more influence we have inside of organizations and business.
Yep.
The more clout we have to walk into a government agency and say, we're speaking on behalf of 1 million admins. This change is not something you have a choice about. You need to listen. It gives us much more credibility. We're already standing on this massively huge rock bed of solid foundation because we've been around since 1942, because we are a nonprofit, because we are solely and 100% driven and making decisions on mission. That is what drives us. So not at no point in any part of our decisioning does profit ever jump ahead of mission. We have to think about profit. Profit is how we achieve mission. In the for-profit world, in the corporate world, it's opposite from that. So there are lots of corporations that have brilliant missions and do really great work. But at the end of the day, the mission is below the profit. The profit is always at the top. And that is flip-flopped in a nonprofit organization. So that does uniquely qualify us to drive the profession forward from a place of credibility where this is not about profit for us. This is about driving the workforce forward and how admins are treated, valued, perceived, how you are paid inside of your organizations. So we talked a little bit about that compensation structure.
Yeah.
We advocate on behalf of admins, and the more admins we have, the more credible our voice becomes, the more influence we can actually achieve
Yeah,
in that advocacy
absolutely.
work.
Absolutely. And, I think that it is an exciting time, and it's been really wonderful to partner together to talk about what IAAP can be, what is the future for the profession. Uh, and the foundation's been able to play a really significant role in that. This year, the foundation is investing more than $1 million in the association. And that's very much focused on some big key projects, looking at certification and where is certification going professionally? We know, again, because we watch the trends, we have to keep on top of things, that there is a lot of interest now in alternative credentials or industry recognized credentials. And so what's that going to look like? And so we're investing in work that's research and capacity around that. Looking at how we make CAP certification more accessible, right? How we make it so that not just from a financial standpoint, but from learning modalities, testing modalities, meeting you where you are on your timeline to be able to sign up and register and take that exam. We're working, one of the things I'm really excited about is just doing more research. That was definitely something that got put on the shelf during COVID. We just didn't have capacity as an organization. And so we're excited about being able to really dig in and, again, source you as our community, as the admins that are on the ground doing the work, to provide the feedback and the information that is going to help us vision the future of how the association and the foundation serve the profession.
I want to exclamation point that point, because you're going to see a lot of surveys come out over the next 12 to 18 months.
Yes.
And not just surveys. We will have other modalities and other ways that you can use your voice and invest in giving us the feedback we need to collect that research. But the surveys, and I know everyone on the planet has survey fatigue, because you're getting bombarded with, take this 3-question survey, give me your feedback, those surveys exist.
Staples wanted me to review a whiteboard that I bought. How was your whiteboard?
Right.
It was white. It was a board.
Yeah.
I mean,
right.
Stop asking.
Everywhere. Everyone has survey fatigue. Totally understand that.
Yeah.
But if we can really just reiterate, when we are sending out, right now we have a credentialing survey that is live. If you've been on our socials, you've probably seen it. Please participate in that survey, whether you have your credential or not. That survey is open to admins, period.
And you don't have to be an IAAP member. We want the voice of the community.
And there will be more of those type of research surveys coming out over the next 12 to 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it is crucial and critical that we get as many voices to respond to those surveys as possible. And some of them are lengthy, because it's bona fide research that we are doing here that's going to drive the profession, drive decisions around credentialing, potentially advanced credentialing and what that might look like, or tiered credentials. What are our opportunities there? So your voice is really important and critical, and it speaks to that critical mass. Again, the more voice we have, the more diverse perspectives that we are receiving. Because we're not looking for majority here. We're looking for all the data, the outliers, the things that are unique in response, as well as what are the key themes and ideas that are coming up for all admins, and how does that drive our strategy? The boards will be going into strategic planning, big strategic planning this September, and some of this data will also inform us as we move through strategy. So it's just really important. It's another way for you to get involved and invest some time without a long-term commitment or, even a financial commitment.
Right. And that, I always say a huge part of our work together is that soft advocacy. And so I love, it's true, the more voices that are at the table with us, standing behind us, the more impact our voice has. And that is really important. I see it like it's on a micro level with those scholarships and that one person who, we're helping to access the learning and the education and the community and the inspiration, right, that they can, all the way up to the big, which is, telling the world at the same time that we're evaluating certification and what it's going to be. It's also educating what a credentialed admin really means and helping the community to understand and see the value in your certification if you've received it, why that distinguishes you, why it's important, why that should be a metric or a standard that human resources is using for hiring and evaluations, and why having that certification from a voluntary member nonprofit association is extra critical because, again, it's driven by the needs of the members of the community of the association. We're going to be here.
And it speaks to the industry recognized certifications that from a government perspective and credibility perspective, only organizations like ours are going to be recognized as industry recognized credentials because of the infrastructure, the nonprofit status, the organization for public good, the assurance that there is credibility built into that program that is not about profit.
Yeah.
So,
in fact, we've been advocating with our Association for Associations to allow 529 plans to be used for something like credentialing. So there's
progress being made.
There is progress being made, but that's where the research, that's where giving us the information, helping us take the time to do those surveys really helps, because that then gives us additional ammunition to make a case for something like that. I mean, if we're going to talk about the need for skilled professions, I don't think it's just welders and plumbers and electricians. I think administrative professionals. That's what's so cool about this as a career path, right?
Yes.
It's something you can enter with a high school degree, work, perhaps earn additional education, additional credentials, and end up in a 6-figure career. There's not a lot of things you can do that with.
No, there's a lot of opportunity there. And that is part of our advocacy effort and work in terms of workforce development is the more voices that you all who are working in the profession, the more that you can join, use your voice, answer surveys, the more we can influence workforce development. So people who are entering the career force and the administrative profession, it is a gateway for some folks who may or may not have legitimate access to higher education. And so instead of it only being the trades that are their opportunities, there's also an office opportunity for those folks, a pathway for them. So that's a big underpinning to some of this critical mass and capacity building that we're doing, that the foundation is investing in. So there is legitimate progress and potential impact that we can see on the horizon. We're just hoping that if we've done anything today, it's, we've given you maybe a reason to do a little bit more investigating into why you should get more involved on both sides of this organization. And you can't get involved with one and not be involved with the other, because that truly is the way that we partner. The association and the foundation exist as one body. So whether you choose to donate to the foundation or you choose to partake in the programs of the association, you are then investing in both organizations in the future of the profession.
And if you want to really take it next level, get involved at a leadership level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can actually have a governing voice in this association and its future. So when applications for leadership positions and board positions come around in 2026, keep that in mind, because that's how everybody else got to the table as a board member. They were driven by the things we've talked about making a difference and holding that leadership place to speak to the voice. I mean, inside tip, Melissa reports to the board of directors.
Yes.
I report to the foundation board of directors. Right. They don't work for us. We work for them on your behalf. So,
and there are other opportunities to get involved too from a volunteer standpoint. So if you're not quite ready to jump into that deep end of the pool, lots of other opportunities. And every
And the
single
research
one,
is going to inform that too.
yes,
We're doing. Yep.
every single one of our board members has volunteered in some capacity for one or both of the organizations before they got to the board. So that's also a great entry point for if you're looking for something that isn't quite in the deep end, but ready to commit some time and energy. We have a beautiful volunteer structure that is just waiting for you to participate.
To get involved the way you want to.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And not everybody wants to be on the board. I get that. But I mean, if you hear this and you're inspired, like they're making a difference, I want to be a part of this. Come join us.
There's a space for everyone. So as we wrap, because we are definitely at time.
Yeah.
I'm
just keeping the tradition alive.
You are. Yeah. We certainly are not short-winded.
Yes.
Any last final thoughts as we wrap today?
Yeah, no, I know it is. Obviously, we get really passionate about this when we talk together. You can imagine what our strategic time together is like. I think that at the end of the day, really what I want people to know and understand is this is legitimately a community. It is your community. We exist only for the admin community and to make a difference. And if we've helped a few people just even understand that, then I'm really happy because it is unique. It is special, but it's also uniquely special and really important, I think, just for people to understand why membership in a nonprofit voluntary membership organization is important.
Agreed. I think my wrap would sort of complement that to say there are a lot of people who purport themselves as experts today. A lot of quote unquote trainers, a lot of people who are speaking on behalf of the profession from a position of expertise. And while there is a lot of valuable learning out there and a lot of,
for sure,
that's not even to say that I disagree with a lot of the folks who are sharing their expertise. I don't. Oftentimes we agree with some of those messages. But where I have conflict is, and not even conflict necessarily, but disagreement in maybe how we use our voices and why we being Amy and Mel are not positioning ourselves as those quote unquote experts is because we work on behalf of the mission. So when we speak, it is because we have a strategy and we have informed that strategy from members' voices and experiences in the administrative profession. So I am not the expert. You are the experts and you're informing our strategy. So you'll never see us stand on a platform and say, I know what's best for the administrative profession. You will hear us say, here's what we're hearing. Here's what we're experiencing. Here's what we see. Here's the learning we have from our community. And here's how it is driving strategy for us, and it is driving programming, and it is driving the future of the profession. And that is very different. That is another distinction from what you experience from all of the trainers and experts that exist out in the LinkedIn world or in all of the places where people are sharing their vision, their calls to action. And again, not to say that they are wrong or bad. It is just distinctly different than what you will experience from IAAP.
It's a both and.
Yes.
We all have our roles to play. But I do see that being a part of this voluntary member organization is an important part of commitment to the profession as a whole, and having your voice lifted up in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Glad to be here.
This has been such a fun episode. We will see you back for our next episode. And thanks for listening.
Thanks. Bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Beyond the Desk Admin Advocates. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of admins with us.
Remember, this podcast isn't just about listening. It's about taking action. Whether it's advocating for yourself in the workplace or supporting your fellow admins, let's continue to elevate this profession together. If you have any thoughts, questions, or topics you'd like us to explore in future episodes, don't hesitate to reach out to us on social media or through our website.
Until next time, keep pushing beyond the desk. And remember, change begins with you. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.